Good morning. Thank you. Tony, that was wonderful. I really appreciate the kind words. You didn't break my arm, but I guess I'll get that out of the way. Finally got it fixed after 25 years of having a sore shoulder. Happens to us young guys. Well, I was once a young guy, but once you get married, your wife makes you go to the hospital. We're steadily working our way down the list, knee, back, shoulder. Next year, we'll see what happens after that. I am from Amazon. Technically, Lab 126, we were a super secret kind of group for the longest time, and we didn't advertise, no signage on our buildings. In fact, when I got hired, I didn't even know I was Amazon until my first day when we started going through benefits. Oh, I'm Amazon, no kidding. Very intentional, we're a secret laboratory. Not so secret anymore, helps with our retention and attraction of employees, trying to dip into this great workforce that's available in the South Bay here. Mine's a success story. This has been nothing but fantastic. I think one of the biggest things about trying to push any kind of EV program inside of a company is that someone's got to be the leader of it all. I drank the Kool-Aid. I have an EV car. My wife drove mine for 2 weeks while I was on a vacation with some friends, and she had to have one when we got back, so now we have two of them, Leafs. It takes one to know one. I guess maybe that's one of the best things I could say about it. I understand all the EV issues from the drivers, and I can help the company understand how to best make everything work for the employees. We have all these great ideas for keeping employees retained here. One of the thousands of things, quite honestly. We work at it all the time, competing with all the other big companies here for this talent. We have to have all these nice perks. There's no doubt about it. We provide shuttle buses for folks to get them from San Francisco, from the East Bay, from far down south to get them up here. This is a significant cost. Something that allows more flexibility for everybody is to have their own car. Putting in the EV charging stations was much cheaper than having shuttle buses. I can assure you, I've seen the bill. So it was easy to sell. A lot of ways, I thought it was going to be much tougher. When we had the great idea that we've outgrown our space in Cupertino, that's where we were just a few years ago, and we moved right across the freeway here to the Moffett Towers. And part of the whole program to get everybody to buy into the change, we had a change management team. They invited facilities in because we were going to be building these buildings and try and custom suit everybody's needs. And it really became this long laundry list of things like, gosh, it's going to be so hard to get everybody not to whine and complain about a new commute, a different direction, how they're going to get to this kind of armpit of traffic here at 237, 101, 85, all these businesses, you see the cranes, and there's all these buildings, and all the people that come with all that, all the other big players in the valley trying to do the same thing that we're doing, establish a presence, take advantage of the workforce, and be here. And without a top to bottom program to understand what impact a move like that's going to be, we were going to be, have an egg on our face on a daily basis. To avoid that, we said, well, what are the things that are going to be hitting people the biggest? We started with the commute, because selfishly, I drive from Morgan Hill to Cupertino at the time, but now to Moffett Towers, 31 miles. Went down and I said, God, I got to get an electric vehicle car so I could drive in the carpool lane, cut my commute down considerably. All that was true. All that was totally happened. I walked in. The only car I could get in at 2012, just walk in and grab one and drive home, was a Leaf. Got the Leaf. I love it. It fits me. I'm a big guy. Plenty of headroom. That was the first question. Can I get in it? Yes. Slam dunk. Like I said, my wife saw it, tried it, and she can't go back. Once you've had first class, you can't go back to coach. The carpool lane, the VIP lane, that's the running joke at my company anyways, is like, why wouldn't you get an electric vehicle car? We started, why did we call ChargePoint? Well, I was standing in a big dirt hole where our building is now, and knew that we had to do this, and this was the time to do it. I have the ability to change the infrastructure, to put in the right infrastructure, get it run out to the different sections of the parking lot. Called up, Mike came out, ran me through the whole dog and pony show. Got to be an easy sale from his perspective. I mean, I wanted it, he had it. I told him it was hard. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. The whole thing, and everybody said, oh God, it's going to be such this effort and this huge infrastructure cost. It wasn't that hard, especially at the phase of construction that I was in. Well, now we've had a building that's already up and running, and we added more charging stations to that. So it wasn't even that hard to put it in after the fact. I know that some companies are running out of available power just because they're putting in so many of these stations. You got to think kind of down the road. How big is your company going to be when you are leasing a building? Is it part of the lease? I'm married to a commercial real estate attorney, and she says every lease she does right now has a component for those tenants requesting EV stations. The number, the ratio per employees per square foot that they're renting, it's a no-brainer. This isn't a nice to have any longer. This is expected. When an employee comes to here to their first day for orientation, where do I plug in my car? How do I get into the program? We always tell them, first things first, go get yourself a ChargePoint account set up. Then once you got that, come back in, we'll get you into our program. We made it a free program for our employees. We call it a topping off. We're not here to give you your 100% charge because we have enough people that we need to keep turning over. I think the data right now is we're having about 3 turns a day on every station. We're doing 50 to 60 charges a day. I have well over 100 people, maybe 160 EV drivers. We saw a huge bump at Christmas time when everybody came back with their new car, looking to get and plug in. Like, how are we going to manage this? How are we going to have the authority to make people move their cars and allow someone else to come in here? Something that I didn't even think of, but it's so obvious. There are EV drivers at every level of the company, and we guilt each other via email, literally. Move your car, it's my turn. I was out walking past and I saw 5 cars that are done charging, go move your car. And they are fearless and relentless, and they will tell a VP to move their car right now. And it happens. It's no effort on the facility staff. I was like, gosh, we're going to have all these battles. I'm going to be sitting in HR meetings, and there's going to be charge rage and fist fights out in the parking lot. None of that has happened. This is a self-regulated program. We have roundtables where we bring all the EV drivers in to talk about new ideas, let them know that we have future phases of expansion coming. We're just about to kick off our second phase, and then we're working on a third phase. And I'm looking with a drooling mouth at this DC fast charger in the back of the room here. Because what does that do? That allows me even a better turnover and to help those employees that are in a fix. Have you ever run out of power in your EV car? I have. I had to know. I live in Morgan Hill, and I got within, maybe 2 blocks of my house, and I came walking in, and my wife goes, I didn't see you drive up. I said, well, that's because I didn't. What happens, well, at least on my Leaf anyways, is first you get down to the very low miles, 2 or 3 left, then it goes to this flat bar. Keep driving, then you get a turtle. Not just any turtle, a sad turtle. You hit sad turtle, you got a few hundred yards, literally, and that's enough to get over. Then all of a sudden, the car, it just goes into neutral, the doors unlock, and you're coasting. So I pulled over, and I was like, okay, egg on my face, I got to go do this. I jumped in my pickup truck, I have a little generator because I camp, brought it down there and fired it up and charged it, and my neighbors are looking at me oddly why I've got my pickup truck in front of my electric car with the generator running, but I got myself out of the fix. I had to know where the ragged edge of what the range was, range anxiety. I was tired of being anxious. I wanted to know. So I know. Crossed off the list of things I needed to know. The overall program, I mean, there's no reason to try and say you should do this. It's obvious. You're going to do this. This is the state of the industry. Every stat, in fact, is pointing in that direction. It's more than obvious. I'm so proud and pleased to be kind of an early adopter, and it's not even worth bragging about anymore. You're just another one of the customers. And I'm out there and get the same kind of looks. Hey, you moving your car? No, I just got here. Because somebody else is already ready to come in. It's changed our company as well. We had a lot of employees that rolled in 9:30, 10 o'clock, tech workers, as you would expect. Now they're coming in trying to get there by 8 a.m. to get an EV spot. We have a rotation right before lunch, around 11 o'clock, where it's kind of after the 4 hours where everyone's given their time, and they got a boot. And next guys come in, and then there's this evening crowd, which early evening, it's more like 3 and 4 o'clock, where we have our third wave of chargers going in. It's working wonderfully. There hasn't been any problems. Very impressed with all of the back and forth on the emails. It's not just shaming emails to move your car. What's the latest and greatest? Who's got a better technology? What kind of tricks have you done to make your commute better, your car better? I found out that if I tinted my windows, I didn't have to run my air conditioning enough. Silly things like that, but they all make a difference. We were laughing about some guys were like, well, I go barefoot when I drive because I'm easier on the pedals. I'm like, maybe I should do that. I don't know, like all these things that are just kind of comical, but every little bit helps. But now that I'm able to charge at work, before, when I was still building these buildings, I was up here and I'm driving in the slow lane, doing my best to keep it under 55 so I make sure I can get to work and back. Now it's like 75 in the carpool lane, doing the best I can to get up here as fast as I can, charge all day, in the morning, and then drive home with a full charge. No issues or concerns or anxiety. Like I mentioned, we're free, and the 4-hour time limit has been very useful and just kind of a natural gauge point. We have some abusers. People get stuck in meetings. I mean, that's unavoidable, right? One of the things that we've kind of had to put one rule in there was that you can't buddy up. This is something that really makes it tough. So if me and my coworker both have EV cars, he follows me down. I don't get in my car until he comes down, and from the other parking spot, I move and he comes right in. People are like, "Oh, cheater!" and they're out there calling you out in the middle of the drive aisle. And so we try and discourage that. And so trying to be the keeper of peace and such, I would sneak out without anybody knowing, jump in my car and just drive off, and then let it be free for all for wherever comes next. The Phase 3 or the level 3 charger is probably one of the biggest requested things. We're looking for that fast charge. Somebody had a meeting or an errand to do at lunch, and they needed to get something to get them there and back and able to do their ride home. So that's probably our next big wave. We're calling it Phase 3 because right now we've got Phase 2 well underway, and we're ready to install that. Fortunately, we had a building shut down to do some electrical maintenance, and at that time I installed a big breaker so I can feed my next bank. There's kind of some of those impacts from a facilities perspective that you got to time these things and be very smart about how you lay out your infrastructure. One of the challenges here in Sunnyvale, and I think pretty much anywhere, is that the cities are very strict on how they lay out their parking lots and how you can get as many cars in there, and these ones are carpool, these ones are full size, and the spaces and slots. Well, they ate up so much real estate that you can't necessarily always put one charging station with dual heads that can serve 4 spots rather than 2. The islands aren't there, or there's a planter strip. The ADA accessibility spot that we were asked to put in. We thought, oh gosh, there's a wasted spot. No way. There's as many ADA drivers that can occupy that spot as well. So every bank that we put in, we had to put in one with accessible spacing. Remember that anybody who has the placard can park there. They don't have to be an EV driver. So that's one thing you always got to remember as well. Some of the lessons that we learned. Thou shalt not block anybody's parking, even if it's an EV spot for the ADA folks. How did we come to this decision? Well, I thought it was going to be like my kids, trying to trick them into taking their medicine. This is good for you, the company. I'm a facilities guy, and I'm talking to the leader of the company. Take your medicine, please. I thought it was going to be like that. It was not. He was like, well, when are we doing it? How are we going to do it? I'm getting pestered constantly by everybody who's wanting to know about their own personal commute and how they're going to make themselves succeed and able to do their job and not have to relocate or move or pick a different job that had a better commute. We're able to retain these employees. That probably is one of the biggest things that we pushed this whole EV program for. Selfishly, it was me to get myself to work. I'm a facilities guy. What a sneaky guy to have in the mix. Totally selfish. I wanted to be able to ride in the carpool lane, get myself charged, and come home. It just so happened that the company needed to get it done as well for the same exact reasons. Why was ChargePoint chosen? That was really easy. I think I alluded to it first. Mike answered the phone. Mike showed up. Mike had products. Mike got me the products. We're doing this huge building, and I've got these crazy spreadsheets showing when delivery schedules are and all this kind of stuff for different pieces of iron and windows and all the other parts and pieces of the building. And his was slated to come on, I don't even know, it was a particular Wednesday. It got there, I don't know, 8 or 9 days early. I was like, holy smokes, I've never had anything come early. We had to store them and keep them safe and all that kind of stuff, make sure they didn't walk. Construction sites can be a little loosey-goosey if you know what I mean. But it was just thrilling. The whole experience was easy. It was no challenge. We are required to go and see what other kind of vendors are possible for just about any charge. When something we're looking at a certain dollar amount, we have to put out to bid. There was no competition. I mean, there was no real competition. There are competitors, but they're nothing like the ChargePoint products, the program, the backup. We invited Mike to come and speak to us, our whole EV roundtable, and it was one of our most packed conference meetings. We had probably twice as many people as in this room, in a room half the size. Everyone had their own issue, very concerned, making sure that we're doing the right things. And Mike, you should be a stand-up comedian on a side note, because there's all the real people kind of problems that are concerns for everybody. And it really made it easy. I know that we're trying to do everything we can to be sustainable and have this great LEED program and be Energy Star and those are all, to me, are just kind of like basic report cards for building engineers and our facilities management staff. Putting these chargers in, we sub-metered them so we could show which part of the energy of our whole overall consumption is for this program. Not that big of a hit. If you're looking to see if it's going to burn your bottom line, it's not. Like I mentioned earlier, it's much cheaper than the shuttle program. Can't get away from the shuttle program because that helps a lot of people make their commutes work, those from San Francisco that can't spend all the time on the train or whatever. I really believe in this. I think that really helped. I drank the Kool-Aid. I go to the meetings with the leadership team. The leadership team all knows me by name. There's so many other directors and VP level people in the company that the CEO doesn't know, but he knows me because he drives an EV car, and he comes to all of my meetings and catches me in the hallway and asks me things. And people are like, "Oh, wow, you know Greg?" And I'm like, "Sure. We had lunch together." And so people are like, "Wow, you kind of got this clout." I don't really. I'm just a facilities guy, and we help everybody. I'm not a presenter. I'm doing my best to wing it here and be a part of this whole program. I jumped at the opportunity when Mike said, "Would you like to come and speak?" Absolutely. I would do anything for this whole idea of EV charging, electric vehicles on the road. It's good for everybody. It's not just a nice to have anymore. This is expected. This is a best practice. This is the future. The future is now, and it's happening. It's fun to be a part of it. You're all here because you are engaged in it or you're doing it. If you ever needed anybody to say, "How can I get my management to buy into this?" I can give you a paragraph, and they will take it hook, line, and sinker. It's the wave of the future. This is here. I'm so pleased to be a part of it. I wish I could have done it earlier. I wish we could do more. If I had the knowledge back then that I do now, I'd have put in a lot more infrastructure. I'd recommend that to anybody. Put in the infrastructure, even if you just leave empty conduits in the ground. Do so. Put in those breakers for the future so you don't have to have a shutdown to install those breakers safely. Set yourselves up to it. Make sure it's part of your leasing so that you're tied to it, so that the landlords and city entities are part of it. We've broken down a lot of the bridge of obstacles. City of Sunnyvale, they are very accustomed to these now. Cupertino, San Jose, they get it. They're not going to resist. They're not going to be like, "Oh God, what's this new idea?" No, it's out there. It's very, very easy to do, very affordable, and a huge, huge benefit for our employees. I can't tell you enough that it has made the difference. This is a cutthroat valley for attracting talent. And this is one of the biggest things. They ask those questions like, you're sitting in an interview. One of the questions that they always ask, "Do you have EV charging?" I couldn't believe it. I was sitting with the HR director, and she told me that. I was like, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." I mean, you're actually going to choose this company, and one of the reasons is because we have EV charging? Yes, I helped out the overall good of the company. I mean, it's funny, we're here to provide a great place to work from the facilities perspective, safe, healthful, all that good fun stuff, but we allow these people to do their great work. I built an engineering playground over the years for these laboratory guys, and they think that's great. But they still think that the EV charging station is better, and it's kind of funny to me. I'll also say that it does take one to know one. I know I said it before, but if you're going to have a program, somebody who's managing that program ought to be an EV driver so they actually understand the issues. I thought of this idea a long time ago when I used to be a building engineer at Adobe. There was somebody who didn't wear a uniform that was in charge of uniforms. Like, there's something really wrong with that. Like, you don't get it. Like, I don't want a polyester outfit. I got to wear this every single day. This is how I look. Why is someone who has no care whatsoever, they're looking at a dollar line and hitting send on their email, and they don't understand what it is to walk the talk. So if you're going to push this whole thing, it comes much, much better from someone who actually drives one every day, gets it, has got stuck, ran out of juice, saw the sad turtle, if you will, and to keep this program going. It's snowballing. It's growing insanely fast. I'm so thrilled to see how many models are coming out. My lease expires in July of this year, and I'm going to definitely have a tough choice to make. If I'm going to get a different car, buy the car out of the lease and keep on going. I was very pleased to see that the carpool access lane is good till 2019 in January. That just makes it, I could stay at this company even that much longer. So all those things kind of boil down into the success of this whole program. I could ramble on for days. I'd love any questions if any of you had anything you wanted to bring up before my time's up. Question, concerns, how do we do it? Yeah.
Hi, Jim Solomon at ChargePoint. On behalf of the product management team at ChargePoint, we would love nothing better than to be invited to the forums you have with your drivers to get great ideas, because that's where all the great ideas come from.
Oh yeah, happy to do so. I've already bothered Mike about it. So we have one, it seems like at least once a year. Now it's probably gonna be like 2 or 3 times a year because of just this rapid growing interest. So absolutely, we'd love to have you over. And I'm so pleased that there's home models. Maybe you could sell them on Amazon, I don't know, selfish. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Tom Harrington from Intuit.
Hi, Tom.
You mentioned that your program is self-regulated.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, on the facility side, do you get any pressure to actually administer the program for your users, and if so, how do you handle it?
So we've gotten to the point, the teetering point, where we're like, oh man, we're gonna have to step in. We've had some heated exchanges on emails. They seem to work themselves out faster than we can actually get ourselves out of the chair to go and talk to somebody. It really is that fast. We had somebody who goes, if I see somebody, we call them buddying. If I see somebody buddying, I'm gonna run that guy over in the drive aisle. I'm like, ho, 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 you just got a meeting with HR for a little comment like that, and I'm sorry. They were quick to, take it back. Sorry, it was heated. Da 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 da. They got themselves out of the situation, so it wasn't anything like they were going to have a fight. But to your point, we have a policy written. We don't want to use it, and we told the users at our roundtables, like, if you make us regulate it, you're not going to like it. And so if you self-regulate, it's going to be a much better program. I haven't heard a word since. It really, really works great. To my point earlier, that there's an EV driver at every level of the company. That helps stop the bickering emails, because they know that a VP or a director or even their manager directly is paying attention and seeing those same emails. So it definitely works out so that we haven't had any fisticuffs. We haven't had anybody be stuck there without ability to charge. There's always a time for someone to rotate in and get themselves some juice and get home. Hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Would you talk to the group about, I know that you folks and your neighbors, HP, have some specific challenges around landlords.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know that you would like to add more charging stations, but would you talk about what you're facing?
Right. In the beginning, my landlord, I don't want to throw him under the bus because I think he's great now, J. Paul Company, Moffett Towers Development, and a few others up and down the Bay, South Bay here, was resistant. What's this doing for my company? I'm old school. This is a spec building. I could care less. You guys want to do it? You put it in. Now it's like, oh, geez, wait. What's that show, Pimp My Ride? You're pimping my building. You're making this building worth more money. At the end of this lease, I'm going to have all this great infrastructure already laid in here. Wow, maybe we should allow this to happen. So we met with the local property management staff for the company, and they're like, oh yeah, I see you, because we were talking to them about the phase 2, where we wanted to put these other spaces, and we had to allot these certain parking spaces, and against our count, and 3.3 spaces per 1,000 square foot rented, all this good fun stuff. They're like, well, you're planning phase 2, why don't you go ahead and plan phase 3? And I was like, did you just tell me to go ahead and plan another bank of these? I can't believe it. What a flip of the coin. They're really realizing the value of this. They're realizing they're not going to get the best tech customers or the best rates for their rentals by not having this simple amenity. It really is an amenity. This is something that is kind of what you would expect when you drive up to a brand new building. Looking around, where's the EV stations? They got primo parking right here close to the building. For lots of reasons. We want to make sure that it is truly a perk, but I have to run less copper to get over there. So again, selfishly, I'm saving a lot of money doing that way. So the landlords have changed their minds. The leasing on just about every commercial lease these days includes that whole program, or how they participate in some other program to provide the same service. We can't do it as our company, but our landlord does it. So we can't offer them for free, but you get a good rate. That kind of thing. I'm seeing all these kind of leases through my wife. And it's just amazing to see that the whole change is now. The old school resistant landlords, they're seeing the value, and they're appreciating the value, and they're happy as hell to let you put them in. The layout of the parking lot, I think, was another one that was a big challenge for us, and that had more to do with the city telling them the parking stall sizes and all that kind of stuff too. Made some difficulties, but with the variety of options and charger styles, we're able to kind of take advantage. If it's wall hung, if it's on a pedestal, it's a single head or dual head. That flexibility allows you to customize your lot, because every lot's a little bit different. We've got trees, we've got plantings, we've got some utilities underground that we can't cross, whatever that might be.
Real quick, being that you're in the facility, not the industry, have you run into any demand charges?
Well, certainly we've seen an uptick in, it's been 1 year. So I've got a year's worth of data. We're looking to dive into that. It's kind of skewed because in that first half of the year, there was much less drivers. We didn't have full stalls every day. The second half of the year is when I started getting 3 turns a day. So I'm still trying to get good, useful data in terms of what we're eating up and energy-wise. I'm sure I could pull up my ChargePoint account and tell you how many charges I've had, how much use I've had, how much gas I've removed from the road, and emissions and all that. So yes, we've hit our head against a couple of things. With the LEED gold requirement, I had to do all the right things energy usage-wise, the selection of equipment, Energy Star ratings, all that good stuff. We also did an automated demand response program, anything we could do to keep that our load profile down or shave off the top of those peaks. We're seeing it, but it's a kind of a constant. It's almost like part of our baseline now. The only time you see no EV charging was overnight. We're starting to get people that are charging overnight. So that's kind of bumping up our baseline as well. So the data is still pouring in, and we're looking into that all the time because we're required to pay attention to our Energy Star score. And for me, it's a report card on how we're doing. We got an odd building because of the research and development section, but we can segregate our labs from the rest of our cafe, from the rest of the office space, and we also submetered all of the EV stations. We could do them, obviously they have the information at each station, but we did it at a whole. We put CTs on the main breaker that feeds the whole panel for all the EV charging stations. So yes, we saw a bump up, but I think if you boil it down, it's only a few dollars a day for each driver, which again is so much cheaper than most any other way to get to work.
One thing I'd like to add to that, for anybody who is curious about combating demand charges, our main sponsor in the room is Green Charge Network. We have Brett O'Neill over here. They have a terrific storage system that he can tell you about that will help you avoid those demand charges. And Green Charge Network solution with a ChargePoint solution is chocolate peanut butter. Goes great together. One last question for Ted.
What's your ratio of reports to EVs that you have on site, and at what point? Right now you're saying that everybody gets home, everybody gets a charge.
Right.
You're planning the next phase. So what is your breaking point?
So we were trying to keep ourselves at under a 4-to-1 ratio. 3-to-1 would have been pretty cool because we figured we can get 3 charging sessions in per day per station. So unfortunately, we're at like 6-to-1 or almost 7-to-1 with the Christmas rush, and everybody got their reviews recently and all that kind of stuff. So there's a little chunk of change in their pocket, and they're looking to improve their commutes. So I want to get us back down to that 4-to-1 or 3.5-to-1, something like that, because right now it's over 6. And that's what helped push the next phase here. That was the one question. When are you putting in more chargers? We love them. That was not the question. We're here to pester you about putting in more. And so we immediately met with the landlord. Landlord was like, we were all surprised that they were receptive as they were, because it was a battle. We call it using our golden arrow. Please let us have EV stations. Shoot the golden arrow, and okay, you can have this one. Now it's like, it's not a nice to have anymore. It's expected. The landlords get it. So to your point, we don't have enough right now. This next phase will hold us over for maybe till the end of this year, and then we got to get phase 3 rolling right away. So, and then with the advent of the fast charge, I think that helps us out as well. We'll kind of figure out a program for that. Maybe it's 2 stalls, and you could park one and have one on deck and keep rotating cars in, something like that. Hope I answered your question. Thank you very much.